Hey everybody, Elizabeth Varian here. I'm the founder and creator of Live Joy Today and the Joyful Living Store, which is part of this Facebook page that you are seeing me on. My nerves are a little on end for a couple reasons. I don't take the topic lightly that I want to cover, and I prayed up beforehand to make sure it was received well. Plus, it's been a while since I've eaten, so if you'll just bear with me in my first Facebook Live video for Live Joy Today and the Joyful Living Store. I've got my notes behind the phone camera, so if you see me kind of looking behind, just know I'm cheating. I want to cover first, before I cover the topic that I posted in the description, my goal when I create a business is not always just put money in my pocket or my bank account. Yes, we need to get paid. We need to pay our electric bills and live when you need money typically these days to do so. But Webmaster for Hire, which is my main business, I've ran it since 2001, still going, yay. It was always with the purpose of helping others succeed. And, when things like the recession happen, just having a business for money only doesn't help you sustain during those tough times. But having a true purpose does. And so when I created Live Joy Today and the Joyful Living Store, I wanted just that. I didn't want just money in my pocket or my team members' pockets, but what else is this platform for? And, I really came up with that we are, aspiring to inspire desire. But then it's like, well, how do you plan to do that? And I'm a wordsmith, I like to write and I'm very creative. So I really nailed down that empowerment, encouragement, and inspiration was how we're going to do it. To empower, encourage, and inspire people for growth in their lives, in their spiritual life, in their personal life, their business lives, to have change. I've been on a weight loss journey for a while. That's a change. Life is always changing. We need to keep up with it. And as well as that, to have acceptance. So as I'm losing weight, I still need to love me as I am and have that acceptance. So that's kind of the driving force behind me getting nervous in front of the camera when I'm used to being behind the camera, and really having a conversation and sharing topics that follow suit with the purpose that I've created as to why I wanted this business. And today's topic, I really wanted to focus on inspiring to create empowerment. And it's not going to solve the problem. There's no one solution by far, but keep the conversation going. And so the topic is going beyond the hashtag #MeToo. And like I said, and I've continuously said, I'm not taking this topic lightly. It's too easy to say, oh, well, this, or oh, well, that. We just need this. There isn't one solution. I'm really trying to keep my cussing to a non-state here, but you can't, jerks you can't change and make not jerks. It's a problem, with the Me Too, with sexual harassment and sexual assault has been around for centuries. But I think we need to go beyond the hashtag. And before I continue on with some ideas that I was thinking and, research, I wanted to let you know that first and foremost, I'm not just going off my opinion. I started today with my opinion. Oh, well, we need to do this, we need to do that, and had my little bullet point list. But then I thought, I need to really research what is others' reactions to this. What were their experiences to Alyssa Milano, and unfortunately I forgot the other woman's name, the starting the Me Too, and on Twitter. And I really changed it and created all my notes and everything, and it opened my eyes to even more. And the first thing it opened my eyes to were the naysayers saying that, clearly this is not going to stop or combat sexual assault. well, duh, it's a hashtag. Anyone can type in Me Too and then go about their day. But let me tell you why I joined in on the hashtag. I kept seeing the Me Too's, hashtag Me Too, Me Too. And I had an idea of what it was about, but all I saw was Me Too. And then someone actually posted the entire tweet that Alyssa Milano put out. And I'm going to read it to you, again, off card here. It said, Me Too. If all women who have been sexually harassed or assaulted wrote Me Too as a status, we might give people a sense of the magnitude of the problem. One second, I need to get water. It's a little dry here in Florida today. I know it's warm too, but I'll keep that to myself. So when I saw the words might give people a sense of the magnitude of the problem, I'm like, you know what? I can get on board with that, because I know I kept all of my Me Too instances to myself. I didn't share them most of the time with family, friends, coworkers. I just internalized it. The first time I dealt with a sexual assault was at a roller rink when I was in 5th grade, and I was inappropriately touched by an adult who was supposed to be there as a responsible adult. And when you're that young, you don't know what to do. And that's sad. Our girls need to know that's inappropriate, go tell. This was the 80s, so a lot of the words weren't taught in school. I didn't know, don't do this, don't do that. I knew not to get into a van with a stranger. I knew not to lick any Disney stickers because LSD was big. But the whole give people the sense of the magnitude was the trigger for me. So for all the naysayers out there about the hashtag, it wasn't meant to cure or solve anything, but it did, get the goal across, because I was surprised how many other people like me had not shared. I was surprised how many other people, stepped up, and I was amazed by it, so much so that it has stuck with me all this time. So the other thing, and I really learned it in my research today, I knew that men are victims of sexual assault. I would, have my head in the sand if I didn't believe so. Of course, they don't come forward as often because society kind of penalizes them, comes up with feminine names for them for having come forward. I remember a Phil Donahue episode where a guy had said he had been sexually assaulted, and the host made a joke about it, and that was in, the 70s, 80s, and people laughed. And so I don't think, it's a female issue. Something that was also brought to my attention from an article, and I'm going to post when I'm done several articles that I found that were really good articles. But the LGBTQ community, having to come forward and realize from some posts that were made from them that how they deal with sexual assaults, both in workplace. Now we knew, in the 80s and 90s about, in disco clubs and bars, and there weren't disco clubs in the 90s, but bars and, some horrific news stories. But in the workplace, I never thought about it. And so I'm not ignorant, but I was open to receiving and learning today about it. And so looks like I have to notice from Google. So from that, I want to tell you my experience when I posted my Me Too. The very first person who posted on there said, well, this isn't going to do anything. You should stand for something and not be a sheep following everybody else. And I was angry. I was severely angry. I'm like, asshole, sorry, jerk. I said I wasn't going to. Jerk, what the heck? And I combated it, and I'm like, this is my story to tell. Every woman has their story to tell, and I reiterated it's showing the problem. it doesn't need to solve it. It needs to show it. We need to get the voice out there and unite women. And that it just kept going on, and then ended when I finally, it just hit with every single sexual assault and uncomfortable situation, from, the first one to even, more recent ones, what I've dealt with. And he, some reason, thought he was on my side. I think what he was trying to do is, like the naysayer, solve the problem. But I have to say, I remember, 2 years now, for hashtag Bring Our Girls Back. And every hashtag that comes out, it brings up awareness, but the girls they wanted to bring back still aren't all back. And as much as I didn't like the way the guy handled my hashtag, and it came out very insensitively, sorry guys, you can do that, I think that we do need to go beyond the hashtag. And I'm going to tell you right off the bat, I don't have all the answers. I am not professing to. I'm not a counselor. I don't know how to, make rapists stop being rapists. And by far, I will never say raise your neckline and lower your hemline. That's just, don't get my blood boiled on that. But I came up with 3 things that I think you and I, the common folk, the ones who work 8, 10, 12 hours a day, either employed or self-employed or business owner, things that, we don't have millions of dollars in our bank account to throw at the problem to solve it. So I thought we need to come up with something so we can go beyond the hashtag and make this something that, projects us into the future in a more positive way. You may not solve it, but somebody's going to be helped by it, right? We post those bullying and the suicide repost status posts, not because we think we're going to solve the problem, but because the phone numbers are there and it may get in front of somebody, and using social media for social issues instead of just griping with each other over politics and, Game of Thrones, I guess. I've never watched it, so I don't know much about it. But, using it for more than just forwarding and arguing over, politics and religion and who's right and who's wrong. Let's use it for something to empower each other and make a change. And so I just want to cover just a couple, like I said, I came up with 3 things from not just my own opinions, but from the research that I had today, and I'll post some of those articles I thought were very well written and very enlightening. The first thing I came up with, obviously, is education. One of the articles I read actually said that, and I shouldn't laugh because, it could be true, that men don't know or realize when they are crossing a line. And I won't name the company because you will know it. I worked for a large corporation, and it was male dominated. And I had a scenario where someone used a term that I wasn't familiar with, and it felt uncomfortable in the way it was handled. And by that point in my life, I was in my late 20s, and I got more of my voice. And I shot the person an email saying, you know what, that was uncomfortable. I did not appreciate it. I'm an employee of this company, and I expect to be, respected as everyone else. That person called me, and they did say, oh my gosh, that was a sports term. I'm sorry you didn't understand it. I did not mean it. Now, of course, he avoided me, afterwards, but it's okay in the regards that we had no contact in our, work environment. It didn't hinder my job. But he at least took the time to say, I didn't know. And so I think, by far the moment you're in it or, shortly after, letting the person know this is not acceptable. And I think, if we can get more of our voice, and mind you, I'm perceived as an extrovert, but I have a very shy introvertedness side to me. And speaking up for conflict, I'd rather run. So for me to do that was me standing up for myself. And it felt good, even though they weren't, intentionally making me uncomfortable. I felt better and didn't feel stupid, even though they said, oh, they thought this. I just felt more empowered because I was important to me enough to say something. And so I thought, okay, I need to include that. We need to educate not just men, people. Because like I said earlier, you know, it's not a female issue. There are men. Men, if it's uncomfortable, state it first. And I know everyone's yelling, I said something, you know, and don't worry, I'm getting to you. But always I think the first, you know, is to state something. I listened to the Anita Hill being interviewed. I can't remember what they call them. My mind's kind of shaky right now. In the 90s. And I listened word for everything she did. And I don't recall her ever saying she stated to him, this is uncomfortable. I could be wrong because I was much younger then. But I really got empowered by listening to her be able to come forward. So men and women, if you're in a position that someone has made you feel uncomfortable, this is not acceptable. Not cool is what one article said that men need, you know, you need to learn to say, but forget not cool, not right, not acceptable. Men, how can they help women speak up? And, you know, when they see sexual harassment, there was an article, her first name was Nicole. It's one of the articles I'm going to post. She wrote a whole article about men. Here's how you can help women who are in sexual assault. And that was the one that said, you know, men need to learn to say it's not cool to each other. And stepping up when they see, you know, we women don't always need to be the damsel in, you know, in distress. However, if you're witnessing something, stand up, you know, and I get that it's just as hard, you know, everyone's fearful, but if more and more people stand up and say something, the more that this person's going to either be kicked out of the company or, you know, they're going to curb their tongue. It's better than sitting and doing nothing. Another part of education was to educate women on how to handle the situation, not just in the office, but in their personal life. And number one thing is, it's not your fault. Each time I would say, oh, I must have done something wrong, or, oh, I shouldn't have done X, Y, Z. You know, the fifth grader in me should not have wanted to buy a flower from the gift guy, you know, and who said he would give it to you free. You know, your mind just goes, oh, well, it was my fault. I put myself in that situation. Well, no, it's not your fault. And I think there needs to be more using the social media platform, because that's where women are hanging out majority, of how to deal with it and how to handle these situations. In work environments, it should be talk to the person first, go to HR, go above their heads, you know, have that ladder. And if, you know, most companies don't tell you to go to the person first, you go straight to HR. And I suppose for people who are highly uncomfortable, that's a great step. As long as you're speaking up, that's what counts in my book. Speak up. Don't abuse it, though. There are women out there, and I know someone's yelling and saying, well, people are abusing it. There are people abusing the system all over the place. You can't fix them. But that shouldn't stop you from speaking up when something is wronged against you. The second thing, and I think this makes my blood boil pretty heavily when I hear certain news articles, but the second thing is victims need to come forward sooner, which kind of goes along with the education. When I hear about the payouts that these men in the news have received to let this go away, that someone has stated that they've sexually, you know, harassed, abused, how many payouts, you know, did Cosby do? How many payouts did this person do or that person do and this, you know, news person do? It makes my blood boil. And maybe someone's got a flip side story where they can enlighten me on why that I should be okay with that. But to me, all that does is set someone else up to be attacked or violated. And you've said, this is your price that makes this okay to go away. And it doesn't make it okay. And it doesn't make the person change, especially if they have deep pockets. So victims need to come and step forward more and just try. We need to create that environment, which kind of is my next point, is, we need to remove that stigma, for the victims to come forward. One article I read that actually, was a woman on, I think it was CNN, who broke the Weinstein story, says people are wanting her to tell her story because she's made reference to it. Name names is what they're saying. And she's like, you know what? I can't name names because women that name names have to go this route in the journalistic career, which doesn't lead to higher visibility and to tell the stories that they want to tell. So the stigma for her as a journalist, she can't share it because now her career going this way has to change this way, all because she comes forward. Well, we need to remove that. We need to remove the stigma of, well, what was she wearing? The chick from The Big Bang Theory, whose name I never get right, sorry girl. But she came forward talking about modesty and clothing. No. Most women who are being sexually harassed, I don't have statistics, I'm just thinking off my head here. We don't have the plunging necklines. I was in 5th grade, for heaven's sakes. I wasn't dressing like a hooker either. I had a very conservative mother on how I dressed, and grandmother. I was in a taco joint wearing a t-shirt and jeans, the uniform that everybody else was wearing. Not tight, trust me. So getting that stigma of what she was wearing. I won't say the name. You can, assume it yourself because I'm not going to get into politics. But there was a politician, a female politician, whose job, in the state's attorney's office was to defend, or not state's attorney's office. She was in an office where she was a defendant or defender. I told you I'm nervous. She defended a rapist and used the angle of the girl wanted it, the victim wanted it. And everybody told me, Elizabeth, she has to do her job to the best of her ability. My response to that is, why does that have to be the perspective to do the best job of your ability? Why does it have to be saying the victim wanted it for you to be able to do your job and defend a rapist? That you are now on tape being recorded saying, laughing about how you don't believe in lie detectors anymore. Why can't you be smart enough to come up with a defense that doesn't put women back hundreds of years? Make us second-class citizens. Make the victim sound like a whore. There's got to be a way that female attorneys, if they are in a job where they're a defending attorney, that they can come up with a more creative attack and argument to get their clients the best stated abilities as you have taken oath to sign on for. There has to be a different way to still do your job and not make women go back. That one, of course, again, breathe. I think that being attacked by other women, I was very shocked by the Cosby announcement. This was a person who was in our childhood. We all picture paged with this person and the wholesome family, and our brains forget that what we see on TV isn't reality. It isn't, Huxtable on stand and trial and being, accused of everything. So my initial reaction was, oh, these women just want money. Well, shame on me. Because our initial reaction should be, how can we help these women? How dare this person? There's too many. After a certain point, I don't care how much you were defending Mr. Huxtable or Dr. Huxtable, you had to finally say, the guy's a jerk. He will beyond jerk, but I'm trying to keep my mouth clean. We have to quit, not just as women, but as a society, we have to quit blaming the victims. We have to quit putting them under a microscope and scrutinizing them. We need to change our own mentality. So if you want to go beyond the hashtag, the next time you see a story, instead of going, oh, what was she wearing? Oh, she must have done this. She may want money. Instead, go, stop. You know what, Lord? If she went through that, please send her love. Give her the courage to go forward. Just a prayer. I'm a big believer in prayer and sending light and love. Let's change our own mentality when it comes to how we react when a victim comes forward. Otherwise, victims don't come forward sooner, and the person just keeps creating more victims. And, you know, a job or a career being in jeopardy for speaking out, like the journalist. And again, I have her link saved, and I'm going to post it afterwards. My computer's in another room. But why should she have to go, I really want to tell my story and share it. It's relevant. It could help people. However, my career is in jeopardy if I do. And she backed it up. You know, she had the whole path. And whether the fear is real or not, it's obviously by experience shown. So, you know, number one, we need to educate men, or I should say, you know, people who speak out of turn, or they are, you know, they may not know. Educate women. We need to help our victims to be able to come forward sooner. Don't take payouts. I don't care how many millions it is. Don't take payouts. You're saying for $25 million, you can keep doing this to the next person. Because I'm okay with it, even though you're probably not. And, you know, really helping victims to be free from the stigma to truly come forward. And if you're a person who uses sexual harassment to do lawsuits to get money, to advance your career for whatever reason, you need to knock that garbage off. Changing my mind. You really do, because you're really making it worse for the rest of us who really have dealt with it. Number 3, the thing that people don't realize they can help and go beyond the hashtag is financial or time support. There are existing shelters and nonprofit agencies for fighting sexual harassment and assault. And they could use your help. They could use your financial donation as small as $5, $10 on up to whatever you have, or your time to go sit and help, you know, help a woman in need, a single parent in need, or someone who has escaped. And again, I don't want to keep focusing on women because men have this issue as well. I watched a reality show, Shaza Sunset. I don't usually, you know, out the reality shows I watch, but there was a gay couple on there, and one wanted to adopt children in California because they brought someone on and they shared the statistics of the gay youth who are kicked out of their houses or who have been abused that are in the system. So sexual assault and harassment goes beyond, again, the female issues. It's just very prevalent amongst women all over the world. And by supporting these shelters and these charities, again, you're going beyond the hashtag and you can actually help. Because, you know, nonprofits and charities, they all suffered through the recession. We're on the flip side of the recession, though it doesn't always feel like it. So, you know, still help them out. Another way of supporting financially or with time is mentorship. And I know everyone's saying, I don't have time, but sometimes you do have time if it's once a month for a few hours. You know, women mentoring younger women. When I was in the corporate world, what I noticed was very shocking. I saw men in executives go to the mailroom and take the guys out for lunch and actually tell them how the company works, how you move up, and things like that. As a female in the corporate world, I never had that. All I had, you know, was good gossip sessions, chit-chat sessions, or, you know, you get those territorial women in there that'll try and cut you off, you know, and passive aggressiveness and things like that. But no woman mentored me. I had to learn to mentor myself. And I'm actually going to create another Facebook Live video to teach people how to mentor yourself in corporate America, you know, because I had to. And I was just shocked how nobody would come along, not just me, but any woman, and say, this is how you handle this. This is how you come along here. If you have any questions, shoot me, a call or an email, and let's get together. But yet I saw my male counterparts get that. So women, we really do need to step up and mentor each other. We have that ability. We have a nurturing, gene in our cells. We should be using it. And I believe that LGBT has mentor programs, and I believe they're in all the large cities. So I think, being part of those on how to get the word out and share. So if you hear about those mentor programs, share them. And then programs that fight for better legislature. First thing everyone says is laws don't work. If laws work, then we wouldn't have criminals. But laws work, and I don't recall the exact law, but there was something that Obama did where he helped extend the statute of limitation for, and again, I'm not getting political. I am independent, not Republican nor Democrat. I'm going to just say I think both sides are crooks. But he did extend, the statute of limitation for filing. And I don't recall the law. I just recall hearing it and thought, good. So there are, programs out there, and there's companies out there that are fighting legislature to be better, to help, women, LGBT. There needs to be equality there and men to stand up, the victims to be able to fight the assault issues. The problem comes in the cyber world. Laws take forever to catch up. And I'm a big watcher of cyber war and how the internet changed me on Viceland. And there was a woman that an ex-boyfriend posting videos and photos of her. There were no laws at the time, and she was a professor, the nude photos. So that's sexual harassment. So the laws need to catch up with technology. So the third way is financially supporting supporting either financially or with your time existing programs that are actually out there. So I realize this is a huge topic, and we can all go beyond the hashtag, and I don't want to be cliche here, but really the think locally and act, or think globally, act locally. See, I don't even get them cliches correct. Think globally, act locally concept is what we need to do. We need to, find a way that we can, at home educate our kids, boys and girls, how to treat a lady or other people. I don't know that I believe that the school system should be teaching this. I wish more parents would, and maybe they are, but when they're actually in the situation, they need to be able to go to someone. Helping victims to feel comfortable coming forward, releasing that stigma. In your job, if you're in HR, what can you do to create a different environment? I know after the whole Anita Hill, for the judge, yeah, that's what it was, for him, I'm really not an idiot, I promise, for him to get on the bench, after that there was all these sexual harassment workshops, but it turned into kind of a French Revolution, where if you thought something, you got your head chopped off. If two people are in a conversation in private and you're eavesdropping, that's not necessarily sexual harassment to me. I think appropriateness, even if your door's closed and their ears up, all of a sudden you're being charged. I wish that we could change and make everybody nice. I really do. I wish we could just take an eraser. I know Photoshop. I love graphics. I wish I can take the eraser tool and wipe out prejudice. I wish I could take the eraser and wipe out hate. And I can't. But I do know that I can take steps myself to go beyond. And I am a big believer in the mentorship program and supporting others. I have mentored in my early 20s. I mentored, and then I mentor when people call on me to, in the web business. I reach out and help other women. Recently, I saw someone doing a Facebook Live photo. I'm like, hey, let me give you some tips for lighting. And she's like, I just have horrible lighting. I have a studio. I'm nearby. Come on down. No charge. Not going to let everybody come running through, but this one woman who is a single mom and needs some help, absolutely. I'm going to reach out and help her. You know, she knows what she's doing. She just needs a good background. So we reach out and help. The other thing I've kind of had in my hand, now I don't have an exact charity at this moment because I really want to research, you know, the best cause, and I'm in the West Palm Beach area. But we have a keychain and actually a necklace. Let me see if I can do this without it being blurry. It'll probably be backwards. It says, "She believed she could, so she did." This is mine. So we have the necklace and the keychain, and I want to take a portion of those proceeds and give it to a local charity that is helping abused women. I am going to focus on the women for this specifically because it says she. And I am going to research it, and I'm going to keep accountable because I'm going to post that charity here on Facebook so that you're aware of it. Because I cannot be a mouthpiece and say this is what you should do and not put my feet into action. I've never been that person. You know, we have to step up. We have to make a change. And sharing the story of my Me Too, it gave me release. You know, I wasn't alone. There were other women stepping up and taking on that guy for me, you know, and cheering on and united together. And so for me, I want to go beyond the hashtag. My question to you, after listening to this really long video, in the comments, what are you going to do to go beyond the hashtag? What can you do? Even if it's a behavior change, what can you do to go beyond the hashtag? Thank you so much for watching this either live or on recorded. Share it if you really believe that my message from the heart was on point. You know, if there's a woman in your life that you think needs to hear it, LGBT men that you think really need to hear it, I think all people need to know that we need to go beyond the hashtag, then please share this. And definitely we are a business, so, you know, joyfullivingstore.com. Live Joy Today will start building out probably mid-2018. We're going to be adding video, podcast, content. It's just, it takes a while when I own also another very flourishing web design and internet marketing business. Thank you very much. God bless and namaste.